The sound of wooden training dummies being struck echoed through Iron Fist Martial Arts Academy, a place known for discipline, sweat, and the fierce pursuit of perfection. On a normal day, the academy carried the steady rhythm of kicks hitting pads, instructors shouting commands, and students repeating moves with determined breaths. But today felt different. A strange tension simmered beneath the surface, like something important was waiting to happen. At the center of the dojo stood Master Derek Cole, a tall, muscular black belt with iron-gray hair and a carved jawline. His crisp white jai was perfectly pressed. His black belt, frayed from decades of combat, hung heavily around his hips, marking the years of mastery he claimed to possess. His reputation was legendary. His arrogance was even more famous. Master Derek believed he could judge a fighter at a glance. That belief was his flaw, and today, it was going to be tested in a way he never expected. The dojo's atmosphere changes. The tall mirrors reflected the gathered crowd. Students in white GIs lined up along the walls. Parents seated on benches and curious beginners who had come early for their classes. Whispers moved across the room like a subtle wave. Why is Master Derek so excited today? Did you hear? He's planning some kind of demonstration. I think he wants to show off. Again, even the assistant instructors sensed something off. Derek stood in the center with a grin, wide, confident, mocking. He glanced at the door repeatedly, as if waiting for someone. When she walked in, everything changed. The dojo door slid open. A woman stepped inside quietly. She wore simple black leggings and a faded purple t-shirt, her dark curls tied back loosely. Her sneakers looked worn down from long days of work, not training. She didn't look like a fighter. She didn't look intimidating. She carried no gym bag, no gloves, no training belt. She carried only herself. Her name was Naomi Carter, a calm black woman in her mid-30s with a soft expression and warm, observant eyes. She came here every week, not to train, not to compete, but simply to pick up her nephew, Jalen, a 15-year-old student who adored martial arts. To most people, Naomi looked gentle. To Master Derek, she looked like a joke, and that assumption would soon destroy him. The first spark, Naomi. Jalen called happily from across the mats, waving his hand. Naomi smiled and moved toward him, stepping around the training groups quietly so she wouldn't disturb anyone. But Derek noticed her, and his grin widened. Well, he muttered loud enough for others to hear. If it isn't the babysitter. A few students snickered. Naomi paused, eyebrows raised slightly, but she didn't respond. She simply kept walking toward Jalen. That irritated Derek. He stepped forward, blocking her path. Hold on, he said, voice booming through the dojo. Where do you think you're going? Jalen froze, his smile fading instantly. Naomi looked up at Derek, calm, polite, but firm. I'm just here to pick up my nephew, she said softly. Oh, I know, Derek chuckled. But since you're always here watching us, it's time you finally participated. The room fell silent. Naomi blinked, confused, cautious. Excuse me? Derek smirked, loud and theatrical. I want to see what you... He waved his hand dismissively at her clothes. A non-athlete, a civilian, can actually do. Students gasped. Parents exchanged glances. Someone whispered, he's seriously challenging her? Another voice, he's joking, right? But Derek wasn't joking. He wasn't mocking out of humor. He was mocking out of spite. Why Derek chose. It wasn't random, it wasn't harmless, it was personal. Derek had seen Naomi before, sitting quietly in the back, watching Jalen, cheering for him, supporting him. Her presence irritated him because she reminded him of everything he disliked. Strength without showing off. Confidence without arrogance. Calmness he couldn't intimidate. Worse, Jalen was one of the fastest improving students, and Derek hated the idea that a black woman, a non-fighter, could possibly be influencing that. So today, he wanted to prove she was nothing. He wanted to humiliate her in front of her nephew. Come on, he said loudly, clapping his hands. You can show the kids how not to fight. Laughter erupted from a few arrogant students. Naomi glanced at Jalen, his face pale with embarrassment and anger. Auntie, he whispered, trembling. You don't have to do this. Her heart warmed, but something inside her, quiet, old, buried for years, stirred, a flame she hadn't felt in a long time. The secret she never told them, Naomi, had once lived a very different life. Before she became a caregiver, before she worked at the community center, before she lived quietly, she had trained, she had fought, she had earned belts not for showing off but for survival. Her father was a military self-defense instructor who trained her from age 8. By 17, she could break boards, disarm attackers, and spar with men twice her size. She held a brown belt in Krav Maga, a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and years of experience in Muay Thai. But nobody at the dojo knew. She had never told a soul. She never needed to, until now. The moment that changed everything, Naomi took a slow breath. Her voice was calm, steady, like a quiet storm. "If this is really necessary," she said, "then fine. I'll participate." The dojo erupted. "What?" She accepted. "No way. She's going to get destroyed." Derek grinned like a wolf who finally cornered his prey. "Excellent," he said arrogantly. "Let's make this fun." He turned to the class. "Everyone, form a circle around us." Students scrambled into place, eager for entertainment. Parents leaned forward. Phones began recording. Jalen grabbed Naomi's hand desperately. "Auntie, don't do this. He's a black belt. He's been training for 30 years. Naomi knelt down and held his face gently. "Baby," she said softly, "a belt doesn't make someone unbeatable. Character does." Jalen blinked, unsure of what she meant, but he felt something, an energy in her presence he had never noticed before. She stood up, calm, silent, unshakable. She stepped onto the mat. Derek cracked his knuckles. "Try not to cry," he teased. "I'll go easy on you." Naomi gave him a small, polite smile. "We'll see." "The crowd begins to see something strange," students whispered. "She doesn't look scared." "She's relaxed? Why isn't she nervous?" Parents murmured. "Just look at her posture. That's not a beginner. She's balanced." "Wait, does she have training?" Even Derek noticed something unsettling. Her stance, though casual, was stable. Her breathing was controlled. Her eyes were focused, no fear, no panic, no hesitation. It annoyed him. "Ready?" he barked. Naomi nodded once. The room held its breath. A few students giggled, expecting her to stumble. Derek lunged forward. Naomi didn't move. Not fear, not shock. She was calculating, watching, measuring. Derek swung a controlled jab, slow enough so she wouldn't get hurt. But her response stunned the crowd. She didn't flinch. She didn't step back. She simply shifted her weight and let the punch pass by her shoulder as if it were air. Gasps filled the dojo. What was that? She dodged without even trying. How did she move so fast? Derek frowned, irritated. Beginner's luck. He punched again, faster. She slipped past it easily. Jalen's mouth fell open. "Mom, what are you?" Derek growled. He punched a third time, harder. Again, she dodged effortlessly. Now the dojo felt something electric in the air. Whispers became a wave of shock. "She has training. She knows what she's doing." Master Derek missed 3 times. Phones zoomed in. Parents sat up straight. Even the assistant instructors exchanged glances. Who was this woman? The joke turns deadly serious. Derek's arrogance cracked. He threw a kick, swift and sharp. Naomi raised a palm and blocked it gently, easily, like brushing aside a curtain. The dojo gasped louder than before. "What? That's a professional level block." Master Derek's kick got stopped. Derek stepped back. For a long moment, nobody moved. The once noisy dojo, usually filled with the steady rhythm of punches, kicks, and shouts, now felt like a vacuum. A frozen world. Master Derek remained on his knees, breathing heavily, his face a mix of disbelief and humiliation. His eyes darted around, noticing the shocked expressions of the students he once ruled over with fear and arrogance. Phones were still pointed at him. Parents stared, wide-eyed. Even the assistant instructors were frozen stiff. And at the center of this silent earthquake stood Naomi Carter, calm, unwavering. Her hands relaxed at her sides as though she'd done nothing remarkable. Her nephew Jalen stood beside her, flushed with pride but also fear of what Derek might do next. He knew his aunt was strong, but he also knew Master Derek never accepted defeat, especially not from someone he thought was beneath him. Derek's rising embarrassment turns into anger slowly. Painfully, Derek pushed himself up from the mat, not graciously, not respectfully, but with a trembling fury. His hands curled into fists, his jaw tightened until his teeth ground together. He wiped sweat from his forehead, trying desperately to regain the dignity he just lost in front of the entire academy. "You got lucky," he muttered under his breath. A ripple of discomfort moved across the crowd. Everyone could hear the bitterness in his tone. Naomi tilted her head slightly. "Master Derek," she said gently, "I didn't strike you. I didn't hurt you. You fell because your balance was off." The softness in her voice was salt in his wound. Derek snapped his head up. "Don't pretend you're some kind of expert," he shouted. His voice cracked with emotion. The students flinched. Jalen's fists tightened. Naomi simply breathed in deeply. "I'm not pretending," she said calmly. "You challenged me and I defended myself. That's all," the dojo whispered with electricity. The dojo turns against its own instructor, one of the assistant instructors, Daniel. A calm and respected brown belt stepped forward. "Master Derek," he began carefully, "with all due respect, she blocked your techniques with professional precision." Derek glared at him. Daniel cleared his throat and continued, "This wasn't luck." A few students nodded quietly. "She knew exactly what you were going to do," another assistant instructor, Rosa, added. "Her reflexes are on another level." Parents whispered, "She moved like a trained fighter." "Better than Derek, honestly." That wasn't luck at all. Derek's face turned beet red. He spun around, shouting at the crowd, "You all think she's better than me? Are you serious?" Silence. But silence was the answer. Derek felt it. He felt every unspoken truth pressing down on him. He was losing control of the room, and that terrified him more than anything. "Derek increases the stake," she pointed a shaking finger at Naomi. "You think that little trick proves anything?" he barked. Naomi remained still. "I wasn't fighting seriously," he continued, his voice growing louder with every word. "I was going easy on you because you're—" He stopped himself, but everyone knew what word he almost said. A woman, a mother, a black woman. Naomi's eyes hardened just slightly, though her body stayed relaxed. "So let's stop joking around," Derek growled. "Let's have a real spar," parents gasped. Students exchanged terrified glances. Jalen stepped forward, voice cracking. "No, Auntie, please don't fight him for real." Naomi knelt again, resting her forehead against his. "Sweetheart," she whispered, "sometimes you have to stand firm, not because you want to fight, but because someone needs to see the truth." Jalen trembled, tears forming. "But what if he hurts you?" Naomi smiled softly. "He won't," and somehow Jalen believed her. "The match begins." For real this time, Derek stormed toward the center of the mat. "Everyone in a circle again," he ordered. "Phones away. Anyone who records will be banned from this dojo permanently." Murmurs, reluctant obedience. Everyone formed a circle again, but this time the air felt heavier. The atmosphere was electric, charged with fear, and something else, anticipation. Derek squared his stance, no longer playful. Now he moved with the intensity of a predator cornered, arrogance replaced by rage. Rage fueled by humiliation. "Ready?" he spat. Naomi simply nodded. No stance, no guard, just a relaxed, balanced posture, and that made Derek even angrier. "Fine," he snarled. "This time I won't hold back," he charged, not a light jab. Not a testing kick, a full-force strike, a punch meant to intimidate, overwhelm, dominate. Students gasped. Jalen screamed, "Auntie!" Naomi moved, but not backward. She stepped into him, closing the distance so quickly, Derek didn't even have time to adjust. She placed her palm lightly against his chest. One push, a simple redirect of momentum. Derek fell backward. Again. But this time, he hit the mat hard. A collective gasp filled the dojo. "What? How?" She didn't even hit him. She used his own weight. Phones lifted instinctively before being lowered, afraid of the consequences. Naomi didn't even look winded. Derek rolled to his feet with a snarl. "You think you can embarrass me?" he shouted. He lunged again, this time going for a grappling hold, something stronger. More brutal. Naomi sidestepped effortlessly, and while he was off balance, she guided his arm downward with 2 fingers. 2 fingers, he stumbled, fell to one knee again. Struggling desperately not to look weak, students whispered, "She's toying with him." No one moves like that unless they've trained for years. I thought she was just a regular mom. She's better than him, way better. Derek's pride shattered. The breaking point. Breathing hard, sweating, angry, Derek rose to his feet slowly. His tone shifted from arrogant to threatening. "You're done playing games. I'm ending this now." Naomi didn't flinch. He launched a spinning back kick. His signature move. The one he taught with pride to all his advanced students. It cut through the air with speed. Precision. Power. The crowd shrieked. Naomi stepped inside the kick, locking her arm under his leg, rotating her hips, and flipped him. The sound of Derek's body slamming against the mat was louder than the kick itself. Even the assistant instructors jumped. Derek groaned in pain. The crowd erupted into whispers. "She flipped him. She actually flipped him. He didn't even see it coming." Oh my God. Derek lay on the ground, clutching his back, staring up at the ceiling in pure disbelief. Naomi stepped back, giving him space. "Are you hurt?" she asked softly. Her tone wasn't mocking, it wasn't proud, it was compassionate. That made it hurt more. The truth comes out. "Daniel." The assistant instructor stepped forward hesitantly. "Master Derek, I think she's right. You should stop." This isn't good," Rosa added softly. "She's trained. She knows advanced technique. We shouldn't continue this." Derek's eyes snapped open with fury. "I don't need your sympathy," he barked, struggling to rise, but his legs shook. His arms trembled. And then something happened that nobody expected. Parent stood up, a mother black proud, and, tired of keeping quiet, she stepped into the circle. "Enough. Master Derek," she said aloud. "You've humiliated our children for years. You've judged students before teaching them. And now the truth is right in front of you." Another parent, an older Asian father, stepped forward too. "You preach discipline," he said sternly, "but you lack humility." One by one, parents and students began stepping forward. The evening sky outside the dojo shifted from warm orange to a deep blue as Naomi and Jalen walked together toward the parking lot. The adrenaline that had filled the dojo still clung to both of them like static electricity. Jalen kept glancing up at his aunt with wide, shining eyes. "Auntie," he whispered. I didn't know you could do all of that." Naomi smiled softly, brushing a curl from his forehead. "You didn't need to," she said. "I didn't do it to impress anyone." "But you beat Master Derek," Jalen said, still awestruck. "Everyone saw it. He couldn't even touch you." Naomi breathed out slowly. It wasn't pride she felt. It wasn't victory, it was sadness that it had gone this far. Sadness that Jalen had witnessed injustice firsthand, and sadness that a grown man had let his ego outweigh his responsibility to teach. She put a hand around Jalen's shoulders. "What mattered today? Wasn't that I was better," she said. "What mattered was showing you and everyone else that nobody gets to decide your worth." Jalen nodded, but the confusion in his eyes lingered. Naomi knew the seed of curiosity had been planted, and she knew it was time he learned the truth about her past. But first, she needed to prepare herself for the storm she had just unleashed. The dojo erupts after she leaves inside. The atmosphere was chaotic. Students talked over each other. Parents murmured loudly. Some furious, some stunned. Assistant instructor Daniel tried to calm everyone. "Please, everyone, let's give Master Derek some space." But nobody listened. Derek stood frozen in the center, fists shaking, eyes bloodshot with humiliation. He felt exposed, vulnerable, ridiculed. He had never lost so publicly. He had never been made to look foolish. He had never been challenged by someone he believed inferior. A few loyal students approached hesitantly. "Master Derek, are you okay?" Maybe she got lucky. You're still the best teacher here, but none of their words healed his pride. If anything, their pity made it worse. Daniel approached carefully. "Sir, maybe it's time to reflect on—" "Don't you dare tell me to reflect," Derek barked. His voice boomed through the dojo like a thunderclap. Everyone fell silent. Derek's expression twisted with rage. That woman humiliated me in front of my students, he seethed. In my dojo. Daniel tried again, gently. She didn't humiliate you. She defended herself. This time Derek's glare was venomous. You think she's better than me, don't you? Derek snarled. All of you? Rosa stepped forward. No one said that. You don't have to, Derek snapped. I saw it in your faces. The dojo was suffocating with tension. Students exchanged scared glances. Parents quietly ushered their children toward the exit. Derek's world was collapsing, and he didn't know how to stop it. Derek's obsession begins that night, long after everyone else left. Derek remained alone in the dojo. The lights flickered overhead as he replayed the match again and again in his mind. How Naomi moved. How she dodged. How she flipped him. How she made him fall with one touch. He stood in front of the mirror, throwing punches at his reflection. How did she do that? He tried replicating her movements. He tried imagining her footwork. He tried lowering his center of gravity the way she did. Nothing worked. In frustration, he punched the mirror so hard it cracked. His breath shook. His knuckles bled. His pride crumbled. Who was she? A simple, quiet black woman with no training equipment, no GI, no belt. Yet she moved like a world-class fighter. Derek's obsession grew deeper. He opened his laptop, searching the internet, searching for her name, searching for anything, any clue that could explain what happened. But he found nothing. No social media, no martial arts records, no competition footage, just a ghost. And the more he searched, the more he hated the mystery. He slammed the laptop shut. I'll expose her, he whispered through clenched teeth. I'll prove she cheated. He didn't know how. He didn't know when. But in his mind, Naomi had become an enemy. Not because she defeated him, but because she shattered the illusion he built his entire life upon. Naomi's past returned. Meanwhile, Naomi arrived home with Jalen. Their apartment was warm, cozy, filled with the smell of lavender and old books. Naomi set her keys down and looked at her nephew, still buzzing with excitement. Auntie, he said, sitting on the edge of the couch, can you teach me? Naomi hesitated. For years she had avoided teaching, avoided fighting, avoided the world she left behind. She had promised herself that part of her life was over. She poured herself a glass of water. Martial arts is not about fighting, she said gently. It's about discipline, awareness, and respect. Jalen nodded eagerly. I know. That's why I want to learn from you instead of him. The pain flickered in Naomi's eyes. She sat beside him and gently held his shoulder. Baby, why didn't you tell me how Master Derek treated you? Jalen looked down at his shoes. I didn't want to seem weak, he whispered, or cause problems. Everyone says he's the best. I thought, maybe I deserved the way he treated me. Naomi's breath caught. Her heart ached, heavily. Oh, sweetheart, she whispered, pulling him into her arms. You deserve respect, always, no matter where you are. Jalen sniffed quietly. Auntie, did you really train before? For real? Naomi leaned back, her eyes softened with memories, some beautiful, some painful. Yes, she said finally. A long time ago. Jalen's eyes brightened again. You were amazing today. Naomi smiled. I didn't want to fight him, but I had to. Because of me? No, she said, cupping his cheek. Because of what was right. Then she whispered. And because sometimes, the past doesn't stay buried forever. A visitor knocks at the door. It was nearly 10 p.m. when the knocking started. Sharp, urgent, unsettling. Naomi and Jalen exchanged glances. Naomi approached the door cautiously. She opened it and found Daniel, the assistant instructor, standing nervously on her doorstep. Jalen jumped up. Daniel smiled weakly. Hey, kid. Naomi opened the door a little wider. Is everything okay? Daniel exhaled a long breath. I needed to see you, he said quietly. Naomi raised an eyebrow. Why? Daniel looked at her with awe and discomfort. Because what you did today. I've never seen anything like it. Naomi sighed. I told you, I'm trained. Daniel shook his head. Naomi, you didn't just fight. You outclassed Derek in every way. Naomi's expression turned serious. Is Derek okay? Daniel looked at the ground. That's why I'm here. Naomi felt a knot tighten in her stomach. What happened? Daniel hesitated before answering. Derek isn't taking this well, at all. He stayed at the dojo after everyone left, and when I checked on him before locking up, he was punching the damaged mirror. His hand was bleeding. He's angry. He's humiliated. He won't accept what happened. Naomi rubbed her forehead. I didn't want to embarrass him. I tried to avoid hurting him. Daniel nodded. I know. Everyone knows. But Derek, his pride is everything to him. He swallowed hard. And now he's obsessed with you.
He kept saying you cheated.
That you're hiding something. That he needs to prove you're not better than him. Naomi closed her eyes for a moment. The storm she feared was already here. Daniel continued. I'm worried he's going to come after you, Naomi. Not physically, not yet. But he's planning something. He wants revenge. Jalen stood up angrily. He can't do that. Auntie didn't cheat. She's amazing. He deserved what happened. Daniel raised his hands gently. I agree with you, kid. But Derek is unpredictable when his ego is bruised. And tonight, he was worse than I've ever seen. Naomi crossed her arms. What exactly are you warning me about, Daniel? He looked up. His eyes told the truth she already sensed. He's going to try to ruin you. Naomi inhaled deeply. This was exactly the type of conflict she had escaped long ago. Men who used power to control people, who couldn't accept being outmatched by a woman, especially a black woman. Daniel added, I didn't know who you were before today, but now after seeing what you can do, I have to ask. He swallowed nervously. Who are you, Naomi? The question hung in the air. Naomi didn't answer, but Daniel saw it. The flicker of something powerful behind her calm exterior. Something she had buried. Something she never planned to reveal. Derek's next move back at the dojo. Derek wrapped his injured knuckles tightly with bandages. The cracked mirror reflected a distorted version of him, a man who no longer recognized himself. His pride felt shattered into 1,000 pieces. He sat on the mat, breathing heavily. His phone buzzed. A text message from an unknown number. You need help. I can give you what you want, Derek frowned. Who is this? Another message came. Someone who knows Naomi Carter's past. His heart stopped. Who are you? The next message. Night sank into the quiet neighborhood like a heavy blanket. Inside Naomi's apartment, the living room was dim except for a small lamp glowing softly beside her couch. Daniel sat on the edge of the sofa, nervous, restless, waiting. Jalen stayed close to his aunt, leaning against her side, his small hands gripping her arm as though afraid she would disappear. Naomi sat silently for a long moment, her expression thoughtful yet distant. Finally, she exhaled slowly and looked at Daniel. You want to know who I am? She said softly. Daniel nodded. Not because I'm suspicious, he said, but because I'm worried. Naomi gave a faint smile. That's kind of you, she replied. But my story, it's not something I talk about anymore. Daniel leaned forward. Derek is obsessed, he said. If he finds out first, if he twists the story, he might try to use it against you. Naomi's eyes hardened. He already is, she murmured. Jalen looked up anxiously. Auntie, please tell us. Naomi rested her hand on his back and nodded. All right, she whispered. You both deserve to know. She drew a slow breath, gathering strength, and then, she began. Naomi's past, the prodigy he never saw coming. Before I took custody of Jalen, Naomi said, voice steady, I wasn't living a quiet life. In fact, I lived a life that very few people know about. Daniel watched in silence. I grew up in South Ridge, Naomi continued, one of the toughest neighborhoods on the South Side. My mother worked 2 jobs. My father left when I was 8. And by 11, I was being bullied nearly every day. Jalen squeezed her hand. I started learning martial arts not to fight, Naomi said, but to survive. Her eyes softened with memory. I trained under Master Haruto Shin, a man who saw me walking alone after school and took pity on me. He saw something in me, something even I didn't understand. Daniel's eyes widened. Master Shin, the world champion? Naomi nodded lightly. He became my teacher, my mentor, my father figure, she continued. I trained for hours every day. I practiced until my hands bled. I studied technique, balance, rhythm, not just in fighting but in people. She mimicked a calm fighting stance without realizing it. By 16, I was competing, quietly, privately, underground. Daniel's jaw dropped. Underground. Those circuits are I know, Naomi said, raising a hand. They're illegal, dangerous, but I wasn't there to win money. I was there because a girl like me didn't have a safe place to prove herself. Her childhood flashed through her mind: metal cages, dusty mats, roaring crowds, the sharp sting of sweat in her eyes. I never lost, she said softly. Not once. Daniel stared speechless. Jalen's mouth hung open. But that world is cruel, Naomi whispered, her face darkening. If you win too much, someone wants to break you, hurt you, own you. Her eyes lowered. A man named Victor Kane tried to recruit me. He ran one of the biggest illegal fight circuits in the country. When I refused, he threatened my family. Daniel's breath caught. So I disappeared, Naomi said. I left the fighting world entirely. Changed cities. Changed everything. I promised myself I would never hurt people again, not unless I had no choice. Her fingers curled unconsciously. I built a quiet life. I took in Jalen after his parents passed. I focused on being a mother figure, not a fighter. Naomi looked away, and for years, it worked. Her silence said the rest until Derek, until the dojo, until today. Everything she buried had been forced back into the open. Daniel swallowed hard. Naomi, if Derek finds any of that, he won't, she said firmly. Most of it was never documented. No real names were used. No public footage. He won't be able to find anything concrete. Daniel hesitated, but someone contacted him, he said. Someone who claims to know your past. Naomi stiffened. She felt the chill creep up her spine. Someone, she repeated. Who? Daniel shook his head. He didn't say. But Derek is meeting them tomorrow. Naomi rose from her seat immediately. No, she breathed. This can't be happening. Jalen looked up nervously. Auntie? Naomi ran a hand through her hair, mind racing. Victor Kane, the underground circuit, the enemies she made. She had tried so hard to leave that world behind. But someone somehow had found her. The mysterious stranger makes his move. The next evening, Derek arrived at the meeting place, a dark, narrow alley behind an abandoned warehouse. The air smelled of wet asphalt and rust. He checked his phone again. PM, be here. He clenched his jaw. I swear, if this is some prank. Relax. Derek! The voice echoed from the shadows, smooth, controlled, too calm. A figure stepped forward, tall, wearing a black coat, face partly hidden under the street lamp's dim light. Derek tensed. Who are you? The man smiled faintly. My name is Malcolm Reed, he said. You don't know me, but I know you. Derek took a half step back. And I know Naomi Carter, Malcolm added. Derek's breath froze. Malcolm reached into his coat slowly. Derek raised his hands defensively, thinking he was reaching for a weapon, but instead, Malcolm pulled out a thin, weathered file. This, Malcolm said, is what you've been searching for. Derek snatched the file like a starving dog. He flipped it open. His eyes widened. Underground fights? He whispered. Illegal circuits? Multiple undefeated wins? The Shadow Striker, that was her? Malcolm nodded. She was a legend long, before she walked into your dojo. Derek's pride cracked, like a bone under pressure. Skimmed the pages frantically. She's been lying the whole time, he growled. She pretended to be weak. She embarrassed me in front of everyone. Malcolm's voice lowered. She didn't embarrass you. You underestimated her. Derek slammed the folder shut. I want to beat her, he snarled. Tell me how. Malcolm's smile widened. Then listen closely. He stepped closer. A cold wind blew through the alley. Naomi Carter has one weakness, Malcolm whispered. Use it, and you'll get the revenge you crave. Derek leaned in. What weakness? The gymnasium felt more like a courtroom than a martial arts arena. Students huddled near their parents, tension rippling through every corner. Conversations died the moment Rebecca stepped into the hall. No cheers, no claps. Just a heavy silence that vibrated with fear, hope, and disbelief. Maya squeezed her mother's hand tightly. Mom, are you sure you want to do this? Rebecca knelt down to her daughter's level and brushed a curl from her forehead. I'm doing this for you, she whispered, for every child who felt small in this place. Maya's eyes glistened. I believe in you. Rebecca kissed her forehead, then rose, her determination matching the strength of the greatest warriors. At the opposite end of the hall, Tyler Griffin stormed out of the locker room wearing his freshly pressed GI as if he were walking into battle. But his swagger didn't hide the truth. His eyes were swollen. His jaw was clenched too tightly. His steps were heavy with humiliation. Behind him, a shadow followed. Malcolm Reed. Tall. Cold. Calculating. He had no relation to the dojo, but the moment he appeared last night, everything changed. And Rebecca felt it in her bones. He wasn't here for Tyler. He was here for her. Malcolm walked along the edge of the mat, hands in his pockets, a faint smirk on his face, like a man watching a trap finally snap shut. The match begins, the referee stepped forward, raising his voice. Full contact demonstration match, Rebecca Johnson versus Tyler Griffin, parents whispered nervously. Why did Tyler push so hard for this? Does he want revenge? She shouldn't have agreed. Rebecca looks calm, too calm. Damian Turner, standing as an honorary referee, met Rebecca's eyes. You ready? He asked. Rebecca nodded. More than ever. Tyler spat to the side. Oh, this is going to be fun. He cracked his knuckles loudly, trying to intimidate her. But Rebecca didn't flinch. Not even a blink. Round 1. Tyler attacks with rage. The referee dropped his hand. Begin! Tyler exploded forward, aggressive, wild, fueled by a desperation to reclaim his fading pride. He aimed a spinning back kick at Rebecca's ribs, fast but unfocused. Rebecca stepped aside, letting his force pass harmlessly. He stumbled. Gasps filled the room. Tyler recovered instantly and launched a flurry of punches. Straight, hook, elbow. Rebecca leaned back, rolled her shoulder, pivoted, letting his strikes cut through empty air. Students whispered in awe. She's not even sweating. She's reading every move. When did she learn all this? Tyler growled. Stop running. He lunged again. This time Rebecca blocked, lightly, gracefully, and redirected his arm over her shoulder. Tyler flew forward and hit the mat. Screams echoed. No way. She threw him. She didn't even use strength. Tyler scrambled up in humiliation. Get up and fight me for real, he roared. Rebecca's voice was soft, steady. I am fighting you. You just don't understand the difference between power and control. Her calmness made him tremble with fury, and Malcolm watched her like prey. Round 2. The trap reveals itself. Tyler switched tactics. He circled Rebecca, breathing hard, sweat dripping, ego cracking. He lunged again, low sweep, high jab, knee strike. Rebecca countered each move effortlessly. A sidestep here, a rotation of her wrist, a shift in weight. Every movement of hers was poetry. Every movement of his was panic. But then, Tyler glanced at Malcolm. Malcolm nodded once. A silent signal. Tyler changed direction and charged toward the audience. Straight at Jalen. Jalen! Rebecca screamed. The whole room panicked. Parents jumped. Daniel lunged forward. Maya shouted. Tyler wasn't going to hit the boy. He only wanted to scare Rebecca, and it worked. Rebecca sprinted, lightning fast, and intercepted Tyler just inches away from the spectators. She grabbed his wrist and twisted it, stopping him cold. Her voice trembled with a fury no one had ever heard from her. You ever go near my family again and this ends differently? Tyler smirked. Found your weakness. Rebecca's pulse thundered, but she wouldn't let him see fear. Malcolm's voice echoed across the gym like a ghost. A mother's heart. Always the easiest to break. Rebecca locked eyes with him. You're not going to win, she said quietly. Malcolm smiled. You think this is about winning? His smile widened. This is about bringing you back. Rebecca's stomach dropped. She knew exactly what that meant. Her past, her secret, her life before Maya. Everything she ran from, it was no longer hiding. The final round, the fight for dignity, Tyler marched back to the center of the mat, breathing like a bull ready to charge. Come on, he shouted. Let's finish this. Rebecca walked slowly, deliberately, her hands relaxed, her eyes steady. No more running, Tyler taunted. No, Rebecca said. No more letting you pretend you're the strongest person in this room. The referee raised his hand. Begin! Tyler charged with everything he had left. Rebecca didn't step back. She stepped forward. Her movements were not wild, not dramatic, not destructive. They were precise. She blocked his punch with a soft parry. She redirected his kick with a hip turn. She slipped behind him in one graceful pivot, and with a controlled sweep, she sent Tyler